All right, guys, welcome back to the Who Would Have Thought podcast. We are back with episode 4. We are in my backyard right now. It's actually February, and we are outside. It was 56 degrees today, and I thought, why not switch up the location and do it in my backyard, have some cigars, and just chat it up and talk about the podcast and topics of Brotherhood, and we'll get that going. But first,
Is it gonna be episode 4 and 5,
this is gonna be episode 4 and 5. Yes,
or episode 4 rather?
this would be episode 4. Yeah.
Okay.
But tell me about your cigar of choice.
Well, fun fact. Actually, this is Devin's cigar that he's allowed me to borrow, have, so to speak. This is you tell more about it. This is Arturo Fuentes Special.
Yes,
Selection.
I will always go with Arturo's. There's just something special about them. They range from like smooth to a little bit heavier. You actually know how to taste a cigar?
No, I'm new to cigars.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you once we get it going. But you actually like kind of hold it in your mouth and then you blow it out your nose, and that's how you taste the actual cigar.
Oh.
And like how it's heavy or not heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got that one, and I got the Java Mocha, just something chocolatey. It smells chocolately, like
I smelled it when I was opening
smells
it. In the pack. Yeah,
chocolate
it smells very
and
chocolatey.
mint. So you mind doing the honors, lighten it up?
You light mine up. You go ahead and light yours first. So Devin's got a little bit more experience than me in the cigar game, but I've definitely been open to them this year. I don't smoke, but occasionally I will, or once or twice I'll light a cigar. Devin's mom in the background.
There you go. All right, I'll get you going.
And then while Devin's getting those going, today's topic is gonna be about brotherhood. And I'm excited for this topic as Devin's been helping me out with starting a men's group here locally. We have some gentlemen that are on the same age as us, like-minded, go-getters.
Dude, just a great group of men.
Yeah.
Just a great group. And tell them about why you just to preface the group, tell them why you didn't have an open invite. This wasn't just, hey, post it on your story with a link and have any guy come in. You were very selective with the group. That's one thing that I've noticed.
Yeah, I did make the introduction selective only because I didn't want to add everyone and it'd be a little bit too much for some guys. I wanted to start small, be able to really have iron sharpen iron and see how this group would pan out. And then, if things started going good, then open it up to other gentlemen. But yeah, I wanted to be selective because also I've just grown up in my understanding that having a smaller circle is a little bit, I don't want to say more better, but just
the trust is there, the vulnerability is there. You never want a group to get so big because then people might feel left out. There's too many people talking, or there's one person that's talking too much, and then the group just kind of slowly starts dying because no one's really getting any input, or they can't give their input. I think you have the perfect amount of people there because sometimes maybe some guys in the group are busy, so it leads to the group being a little bit more tight-knit for that session. But yeah, just great group of men, and that's why we want to talk about brotherhood. But first question I really want to pick your brain is, what does brotherhood mean to you? Because I think there's a negative connotation in the world sometimes that brotherhood is just like, when you think of brotherhood, you think of cigars, you think of making a crap load of money, you think of driving fast cars, and you just think of like, does that make sense?
Yeah, you said that's a negative connotation.
Well, the world perceives that as a negative connotation.
I mean, all those things that you described are some goals and aspirations. I think for me, identifying a brother would be I can tell him good news and I can tell him bad news. And just entrust that they're really going to be there to sit down and listen. And not only that, but they're not going to just be there when it's convenient for me or convenient for them. They're going to be there in times where it's not convenient for them, whether that be a phone call, stepping aside for a phone call, or maybe they put some other things on the back end.
Do you think there's judgment in brotherhood?
I think so. Yeah, I think there should be judgment. I think if someone's going on the wrong path and I have the respect for that other gentleman, I want to have judgment on him and be honest with him and let him know. Or for me, vice versa, I'd want them to. But I think there's multiple levels of judgment. Judgment in the way that I interpret judgment in the way that I want in the men's group that I have is I want judgment. There to be judgment in the fact that we know what that individual wants, and we know what they've come from, and so if they're going back in their old ways, I'd want
To get them back on track.
And also have them just kind of give them a reminder of, hey, I've seen what you've had before and I've seen that you didn't like it, and my judgment and the decisions that I want you to make are based off of what you've told me you've wanted.
So once you reach that level of brotherhood and trust and kind of accountability, I think accountability is a huge thing in brotherhood.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm not going to tell you that I want something and then act a fool or not chase that and then not expect you, if you truly are my brother, to just encourage that type of foolishness or to not call me out. You know what I mean? I think you are correct that there is a healthy type of call out to a brother, but again, there's healthy judgment and there's like just straight disrespecting them in a sense. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you real quick. You're gonna want to puff. Just puff, puff. There you go. There you go. There you go. There's your cigar lesson.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep getting them as I trying to taste it. It's a really good cigar, by the way. From my experience,
can't go wrong.
What is brotherhood mean to you?
Brotherhood.
Before you answer, something I wanted to say when you said, "Hey, what is brotherhood?" For me, when I'm experiencing the guys that I want around me, is that I have the genuine feeling of like I want them to eat. Like I'd be happier knowing that they ate before I did.
I think that just shows the type of man you are, and like what brotherhood actually means to you.
Yeah, I mentioned in the group chat for the gentlemen that are listening. I think you guys also saw this that I'm obviously the person that connects all 16. I believe are in there. However, each of them has a strength and a lot of achievements, and I mentioned that. Not that I'm the least achieved, because I feel that I have many achievements, but I feel that all these people in this group obviously better me, but I'm the least skilled in there. Like I don't view myself as the best. I view myself
honestly, that's what I think I love about the group is that we're all men, and you know how men get, how competitive we are, how we always want to be the best at everything. In this group, everyone treats them as the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all here to win, so therefore no one is better than the other person. Now we all might agree, hey, this person is way better at this than all of us, and that's a skill that we can use to further ourselves. You know, there's people in the group that are really good at trading, that are really good at nutrition, and really good at exercising and running a business. There's so many different people that are in the group that have different skill sets that we all can take from and grow ourselves as a man And that's what I love about the group is, again, there's no, this guy thinks he's the best at this. Like, I'm not going to take your input because of this. Like, when we're all sitting in that group, you could just see everyone's face. Like, they're just, like, taking in what everyone says, no matter who it is. And that's what Brotherhood is.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, what I think Brotherhood is a group of men. And what's the first part of that word? Brother. And as a brother, you're not just going to be buddy with me. You're not just going to, hey, let's go get messed up on the weekends. A brother is someone who you either look up to or someone you want to, I want to be a role model for my younger brother, and I look up to my older brother. And I don't think brotherhood just has to be from your brother. I think brotherhood could be any group of men that want to achieve something in their life, and they know they can't get it unless they are held accountable by a certain type of men that are in a group together. And I would describe that as brotherhood. Like, I have kept myself accountable just being in this group because that I'm in this group and I have to show up. I'm not going to go to the group and say, hey, I want these things. And then next week, all of you guys are keeping me accountable. They're like, did you do this? And I'm like, no. Well, why didn't you do it? And then I either have no reason or I just make up excuses. Like, that's why I love brotherhood and I love accountability, because we all understand. We get it. We would not be in the group together if I was like, oh, no, I don't need accountability. I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to your point, like, about the accountability and kind of like struggling, we all are men. We all struggle with things. And for someone to say they don't, we know. And like your Saturday thing, dude, 15 degrees out, 7 a.m. on a Saturday. We were out there, 7 guys. What is it? Bleacher miles? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So we were doing bleacher miles. We were running around the lap, and we did it like, what, 5, 6 times?
4.
4 times. And dude, on the 3rd time, I was like, I'm sitting here. I'm like, this sucks. This genuinely sucks.
Yeah.
To the core. I'm like breathing heavily. Everyone's throats are drying. We're all snobbing down.
The
But
track is covered in
the
pure
track
snow.
is covered in snow. Like, you're slipping on ice. And I just look back and I see 6 other guys doing the same exact thing. And I was just like, dude, this can't be that bad. Like, they're struggling with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can push through this. Like, that is what I love about brotherhood.
Yeah.
Is you're not alone. And something that to yourself could be hard to do on your own. But when you look back and you got 6 guys, you got Garrett screaming, "Hoo-ah!"
Yeah.
Just running, doing military rants.
Yeah.
It just, like, I don't know, it lights a fuel in you, and you're like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I noticed is that we kind of all stood close together. No one complained. No one had second thoughts. Everybody was they weren't sad or
Dude,
upset.
most importantly, no one gave up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm sure some people were like, "Oh my gosh."
I was one of them
this
people. I was like, dude, I had a sore throat. I was already coughing that morning and the night. Like, I've had this cough for so long. I'm sitting there after, like, it's so dry. It's 50 degrees out. And some dude, Lucas, just rips off his pants. And I'm like, bro's in shorts and doing this, you know?
Yeah.
Some guys didn't even have gloves or hats.
One of the guys, Garrett, had a
Holes
hole
in
through
his
his shoe.
shoe?
Yeah, you could see his big toe, and he wasn't even complaining.
That dude, let me just preface. When we arrived, we're like, Emilio, why are you and Garrett puff it? I'm gonna teach you puff it.
Oh, no, I think it's...
No, puff it. No, you're out. But it's just funny because I'm I get there and other guys start arriving and we're like, where's Emilio and Garrett? Because they said they were gonna get there, and we just see him like running in the distance. Garrett's beard is filled with icicles and snow, and his goatee is filled with white snow. And we're like, what have you guys been doing? Oh, we just ran 7 miles. What? What? And you were on what, 3 hours of sleep?
We'll just say 3 hours.
And then the next day, me and Emilio go on a double date. And guess who FaceTimes us at dinner or lunch?
Strom.
Strami.
Strom.
Strom. And guess what happens? I'm like, why is he calling? Dude's bare skin shirt is no shirt on.
Shirtless.
Shirtless, just running with Lucas.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love, is that you have created this group of men to where it's not just, oh, we can only talk to these men and talk about things when we're together on Sunday when you arrange a meetup. Now you have guys outside of the meetup connecting and going on runs together. They did 13.5 miles.
I think Strom did 15. But yeah, the rest of them were doing miles in the cold and things of that sort. Yeah, we have guys starting new careers. We have guys losing weight. We have guys changing their diet plan. I'm starting to drink raw milk because of Lucas and Garrett Strom. And then you have these people, Garrett, the one that had two holes in his shoes, just the way he talks and the knowledge, you can tell that he's received through the books that he's read. Do you remember the book that he's reading? Who it was by?
I don't.
I should have remembered. I wrote it down in my notes. But we have another guy, that John, that just came off of a 50-mile run, and he's helping me organize my Google Calendar. I started to get Google Calendar and plan out my days and my weeks because of him. And it's just these small changes that we're already starting. We're 3 weeks in.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
3 weeks in,
Yeah.
and we're intaking so much from like, hey, what does this person have to offer? And it's not in a sense of like, hey, what can I get out of this person? But it's a respectful, like, hey, you have a talent and you have a skill that I'm not good at, and I'm going to admit that, and I want to get better at it. So, hey, you're really good at this. How do I get better at that? How do I get better at my routine? How do I get better at time blocking? How do I get better at losing weight or eating a nutritious diet with a super fast lifestyle? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So aside from the men's group, how could you identify a brother? I don't even want to say brother. I mean, this topic is brotherhood. But the general idea is that we're creating a fraternity of men that are also masculine, go-getters, goal achievers. And so for you, I feel like you've done a great job of finding individuals to surround yourself with. You found me before we even got close. I think you were able to identify. And I think we were both able to identify that we were on a track that was similar to each other, even though we were in completely different verticals. Like I was in
Completely different verticals of our lives.
yeah, but you could just I think you made the identification.
So the question is, how do you identify?
How do you specifically identify, or how have you grown into
finding those individuals that, I don't want to say like are about it, but they're about betting on themselves. Standing on business. No, but betting on themselves. I'll say that. And the way I go about it is, gosh, it's a really great question. I think with social media that helps a lot. To see like a person consistent. If I see a person consistent in what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve, even if they're not successful yet in doing the thing, if they're doing it consistent and they're trying every single day at it and they're working to get better, that's how I usually know. Another thing is like on a photography scale, if a person is beginner or intermediate and they're reaching out to me for maybe mentorship or trying to understand and gain knowledge, that's how I know. You know, a person that never stops learning is just a master of their trades. A true master never stops learning. And that's just kind of how I look at a person. And like kind of quote unquote see if they're about it or if they want to like bet on themselves. Does that make sense? How would you go about that question? How would you point out an individual in your life and say, okay, I know this person is about it. Doesn't matter how much money he makes, but I know he's about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a little tangent. That's a great question. Something that's evolved in my life. The reason why I even knew that I wanted to create this fraternity of men was because I grew up with so many people around my life I that I just had to weed out. The hardest thing for me growing up was I'm a family man and I have cousins that are around my age, and they were males and they're a little bit older than me, and I looked up to them because they were good at sports. They just knew how to talk. They were quote unquote, you could tell they were part of the popular group in high school, and typically two cousins in particular, they were just people that I looked up to. They were great, and I always wanted to be around them. And they went off on the wrong path. They went off on the wrong path. I don't want to tell their stories, but long story short, they took a different route than what I had thought was intended and what I was seeing. And it got to a point where I had to remove them from my life in that season. I think it's probably from seventh grade to eighth, or seventh grade to freshman year in high school, around that age group. And to grow so close to somebody and for them to be family and for me to look up to them and grow so close and had to separate, it was one of the hardest things. And I had to do it back to back. It wasn't like, okay, I lost somebody. It was like I lost somebody and then I grew closer to the other one, and then that person took the wrong route, and then I had to lose them. And it was almost like I had lost them, like, not that they had passed away, but almost near. But I just knew that I had to remove myself. And to give some background story is, when I was younger, I was chubbier, and I'm a minority in a predominantly Caucasian suburb, and I felt that I already stuck out. I had a low self-esteem. I was never really great at sports, and for me, when I got to junior high and high school, I just never felt like I was part of a group. And this is something I explained in my testimony when we first got together with the guys, was that I would always grow really close with people in class. We'd get laughs, we'd mess around, not, just goof off in class and just really connect one on one. And then as soon as that bell rang, it's like we never knew each other. And people would come back from school Mondays, and kids would be like, "Oh, Emilio, did you go to that party?" Or, "Hey, did you get the invite?" And secretly inside, well, first off, I never got the invite, and then second off, I was so insecure that I was like, "Oh yeah, like so and so told me about it. I was busy," but in actuality, I was never invited, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Do you think that's why you long for such meaningful relationships right now?
100%, 100%. I knew once I got out of high school and started going to college that, well, for one, there was no popular group. There was no such thing as that. But I knew that there was others like me out there. And it's awesome as I grew older up until this point, in each chapter that I'm writing since high school, I'm meeting different guys that are in our group that I also could feel that had similar story. And so yeah, I think since I was never part of a group in high school, and I just was always insecure, I think that caused me to first, for one, find out what I didn't want in a friend, and for two, help me figure out what I would want moving forward, finding and looking for in people, in groups, what I'd want to surround myself with.
I think that's important to figure out what friend you want in your life.
Yeah, figure out what friend I want in my life, and that also teach me to be what kind of friend I want to be.
I think it's important to figure out what friend you want to be because the 5 people you're around is who you become. And that is more true than ever. Um, Going back biblical, uh, iron sharpens iron. You know, I guarantee you. And I was around a crowd that was not good, and I had to remove myself from them, and it sucked because a part of me almost didn't want to leave because I was missing out or doing those things, but for the betterment of myself, I needed to. Um, but yeah, I think how so there's guys watching right now. How would you, if they're trying to find a brotherhood, they're sick and tired of their friends going out or doing whatever, just kind of messing around with their lives, not taking their life seriously and taking action. How would you tell a man or younger male to find brotherhood?
I wouldn't say to go looking for it. It will find you. That's how, when all of you guys didn't come all in at one point in my life. It was kind of as I grew into the person I wanted to be, that energy that I was investing in myself and kind of putting out into the world was coming back to me in these
So would you
gentlemen.
say taking notice of kind of the energy or maybe this interaction you might have with a certain person? Like what about me caused you to be like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to him, or like what was that made you point out like, okay, I could see him being a brother and in my brotherhood?
You could just see people stepping out in discomfort. For you, it was posting a lot. For you, is you opened up to me saying that you wanted to change your health, and you're like, "Hey, let's go get a workout," instead of like, "Hey, Emilio, let's go grab a drink at the bar."
So it's decisions in an individual's life that you can point out and be like, okay, I see he wants to change and he wants to better himself. I'll keep him in mind.
Yeah, there's almost gut feelings too, is because you would kind of congratulate me on a post saying, "Hey, I see you posting more. That's awesome." And so I was like, "Oh, this guy's there's no benefit in you telling me you congratulated me or you taking notice." And then, I noticed you're doing the same thing. So, you know, I'm sure at one point I was like, "Oh, I see you working out a lot. I think that's incredible." And I think it's slow and steady. Like you'll see a lot of gym bros, they first start off passing by each other and then they'll give each other's knuckles and
I've seen videos like that,
yeah.
and then it's like, it's like, hey, can you swap me? And then it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to work out tomorrow or something?
Yeah.
Supposedly they're on the same what is it called, the
Same splits.
same splits.
Yeah, so it's not going to be like something or it's not something that I identified right away. It was kind of I'm finding that energy and growing, investing myself, and then slowly you see others kind of reciprocating that energy. I don't want to say reciprocating, but you'll see people, like I said, we were complimenting each other, and then we're like, oh, let's go catch a workout. And then we were talking about we had some of the same interests, some same goals. And then now here we are we were talking about, hey, we want to do a podcast. And then, we did it.
Yeah, now we're
So,
on episode 4 and seeing this go super far.
yeah. So I was telling myself too, when we were doing this podcast, I was like, we could get negative views. I know that's not even possible, but I'm so invested into growing and learning. And I know how hard it is to, like, the most valuable skills are the hardest ones to master. So they're going to take the most time to put it. I'm just going to speak into from the camera while Devin does. I just believe that for anything great that I want, I know it's going to take time. For me, one of the biggest skills that biggest skills that I wanted to learn was sales. So I'm in a sales role. And when I was in training, they told me, hey, it's going to be hard the longer you get into the sales cycle or into your tenure. And for me, I was out the gate. I was young. I was hungry. I still am young and hungry. But you don't realize how hard something is till you start putting time into it. And so for the first week, I didn't make any sales. Second week, I didn't make any sales. Third week, I didn't make any sales. Fourth week, finally made that first sale. And once you get that hit of that whether it's a sale or it's a vein in your muscle that just popped. It's your first vein in your muscle, or you notice something in the mirror that's slightly changed. Just like you get a hit of that adrenaline, you're like, I want more, and that leads you to go keep growing.
It's a good dopamine.
Yeah, but it's not only dopamine, but what I'm trying to get at is, it took me 3 weeks to land one small sale. I think it was like a $50 winner, and then, I had to go another 4 weeks after that.
Calls the boys. He's like, hey, yo, drinks on me, party, let's steakhouse, everything. First sale.
Forget to send the invoice to the client. Don't even get paid for it.
Loses the client.
Yeah. They ghost me.
Fired.
Yeah. I mean, all of that could have happened. I still would have been the same way. So, but that, like, same thing with this podcast, that, we could have got one view the first episode. It wouldn't have changed a single thing.
Still would have done it.
And it won't.
It won't. This podcast could get 0 views, but guess what? It's the fact we showed up.
Well, Alex Hermosi said he did 600 episodes. I don't know if it was 600. It was some bizarre number, but he said he did tons of episodes before he started getting traction. He had no idea what he was talking about in his first 100 episodes.
We gotta catch up.
Yeah, we're catching up. Don't worry. But it's almost like it's a process. Like how I'm communicating now, and I think I communicate well. It's a skill that I'm working on. I'm not great at it.
No, you're very good at communicating.
I'm developing, but I want to be better 100 episodes later, and I know I will be. This is obviously a starting point, and I want to get better.
And you know why you will? It's because we keep showing up. It's that repetition. I say it like anything. I say it with church too. Don't expect to get closer to God if you're just going to church on Sunday.
Ooh, that when I first heard that, it
hits
me,
because you're like, you're so right. I'm like, what expects me to grow my relationship with God if I'm going to church for an hour on a Sunday?
Yeah.
If I'm not going in His Word every day, if I'm not growing in a community with Him and stuff like that. So it's actually very like anything in life. It's consistency, it's discipline, it's showing up and doing the reps. Doesn't even have to. I know reps is like, when you hear the word reps, you think of the gym. But doing the podcast, that's reps. Every single time we release an episode, every time you see episode number, that's us putting in reps. Yeah. And we're bound to get better by 50th episode, 100th episode, 1000th episode.
Yeah.
Millionth.
I don't doubt it. I'll hold that with a straight face.
A million?
You know what they say?
We're here at like 80 years old. We're like, oh.
I'm not going anywhere.
What'd you spend your 401k on?
You got a 401k. But yeah, to connect it with having a brother beside you, the awesome thing is showing up is half the battle. And then when you have somebody that wants to get after it, there's going to be days that one is more pumped up than the other. So for workouts with Devin and I, he may be getting after it, and I just I'm barely getting out of bed, showing up. And then all of a sudden it goes from what could have been my worst workout to Devin pumping me up. And now it's like the best workout because we're both pushing each other.
Well, and that's why I go back to the same exact thing with when you see, when you're struggling and you see maybe 6 other guys struggling as well, it doesn't feel like you're struggling. Or it doesn't feel as bad. But I would agree. I mean, I've seen this guy when he comes to my workouts at 4 in the morning. He'll get there, eyes. He's like, you could tell he just went to bed. Dude's grinding, and no, it's just awesome because I can see like 15, 20 minutes in, he's locked in and he's ready to go, and we're both hyping each other up and we're getting after it. And when you see someone else getting after it, it makes you want to get after it even more. It's that brotherhood, that community. But I guess to close off this episode of Brotherhood, leave them with a message that you would give any brother.
I'll start by saying this. I'll look in the camera. I'm somebody that was 14 years old, didn't have a stable friend group, let alone a stable friend. Very self-conscious about myself. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life, let alone if I was going to get an invitation to a party. And as I grew older, started investing myself, putting in time and effort to acquire skills that allowed me to not only put my vision in a direction where I can grow, but also see others that were on a similar vision. So if you don't have a friend or you don't have a brotherhood, and a brotherhood doesn't mean just guys, because there's girls that we like. You're like Bailey Bennett, and just like I have a friend named Megan, and just it doesn't have to be girls or guys. It can be girls too, but just you'll find at some point or another people that want to just get TF after it. And if you shape yourself to be that person, you're going to find other people like that. I don't really have any advice, but my advice would just be invest in yourself, because that is the biggest thing that you can do, and that will allow you to find others that are investing in themselves.
Become who you want to become, and you'll attract what you want to become.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Ready? 3, 2, 1.